All right, we are back with another episode after what feels like such a long week for some reason.
The longest Thanksgiving week I've ever experienced. But not even Thanksgiving week, the longest week of the year.
I don't know why though. It's just
No,
been
same.
dragging out, but a lot has happened, so we will get into all that. But first, the 100K giveaway has been solidified. So we are going to post about it as soon as we get all the items in. But what we're doing is the first 5 people are going to get a 25 gift customized, hand-picked advent calendar. So 25 items that we picked out, which we were just saying how jealous we were because we didn't think to order anything extra for ourselves. And
Nope.
some of it is customized, just a little shady items. There are Apple products, Beats products, gift cards. So 5 people are going to get that. So make sure you're following us on Instagram and you like that post, and there'll be instructions on that post. But additionally, 5 other people are going to win like a second place, I guess you would call it, prize of just the customized items that are related to the podcast. So still really awesome gifts.
I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah, and also super mad I didn't think about
I'm so
ordering
jealous.
extra, but stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome. Today's episode is sponsored by Puma. If you follow me on social media, you have definitely seen, at least for the past year, that I have been wearing Puma. And Puma is actually one of the first companies that I started working with on social media. One of the things I love about them is they are constantly stepping up their game, pun intended, and releasing new styles. So right now, Britt and I both have on their Puma suede sneakers. Thank you. And they are a everyday classic and perennial style, which makes them an icon for everyone. Suede is for all time. Easy to wear and seamlessly styled into any look, the suede's iconic status is cemented through its ability to be constantly remixed and reinterpreted. The result is a model that is as fashion-forward as it is everlasting. If you want to check out the latest Puma styles or check out the suede sneakers that Britt and I are wearing, make sure to click the link in our description. Now back to the episode. But yeah, back to this past long week. So we had Thanksgiving, which we talked about kind of how that goes every year for us and our ideas for next year and the next few Thanksgivings. But the Lions lost.
Unfortunately.
It's like,
And it was so close.
at this point, though, it's typical, like, you have to have some hope, and we all did, and then it's just taken away.
I mean, if anything, we have that as a tradition.
That is a tradition. Also, though, were you watching when BB Rexa came on for the halftime show?
No, and I'm so mad about this. I was traveling from one Thanksgiving to another Thanksgiving. So I missed it.
So she came on, performed, we watched it, and when she was going off, Evan goes, "Did you hear them booing?" And I'm like, "Not us, please, no, like not Detroit." Like,
Dang it.
and he's like, "No, I think they were booing." And I'm like, no. And I go on TikTok, and lo and behold, we were booing. But apparently, so they have the field, and normally when you have a halftime performance, they perform in the middle of the field so everybody can see.
Right.
Apparently, they had her perform in one of the corners so nobody could see. And to everybody, it just looked like they were watching her perform on a teleprompter, like she wasn't really there. So I guess that's why they were booing.
I mean, in that case, I might boo too, because I've been to a few Lions Thanksgiving Day games, and they've always had the artist on the field, which granted, when you're watching a halftime performance in a stadium, at least for the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, like all the lights are on, vibes are a little different than your typical
It's not gonna
concert.
yeah.
Yeah, because you always see that comparison, like what we saw on TV versus what we saw on what we saw on the field, and it's like, womp, womp, womp. But in this case, to not even see any kind of performance, I would be upset.
Yeah, to them, they were basically watching it on TV too, but they were there
Exactly.
and didn't know what was going on because it's not like they preface it by being like, "Oh, hey, she's not actually gonna be
Right.
like performing in the thing." So yeah, that happened, and you know what I was thinking too this past just Thanksgiving while we're on the topic. You know, every single year, even our friends, usually the night before Thanksgiving, it's the biggest bar night of the year.
Oh, it's a whole ordeal usually.
What happened this? I feel like, okay, either we're getting old or it's just not the biggest bar night of the year anymore.
I think it might be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it might be both, unfortunately. But yeah, I just did not, the vibes were not, maybe that's why it was the longest week ever. Because I feel like normally we at least have plans for a couple of the days, but we really didn't this year.
I didn't have a single plan aside from Thanksgiving Day itself.
Well, me and Evan decided to, this kind of goes back to being a little bit, either we're old. Me and Evan decided to go up to MSU.
I did see this.
Yeah, we were like, we haven't been back since we graduated, and we heard so many things have changed. And we've been saying every single year since we've graduated, we're like, let's go to a game or let's go tailgate and go to a game. And we just never have. And we had nothing going on and spontaneously just decided to go up there. I could not believe how modern, and not the campus itself, but right outside of campus where everybody lives has gotten. Like, it's starting to build out into an actual little city.
Really?
And right by where I used to live is a Target now.
Shut up.
Is a Target. And
a dream.
I know. Which maybe that probably helped me out a little bit. I would have been there every day. But there's like cute bars and restaurants right there now.
No way.
There's rooftop hangout spots and pools in all the new apartments. And like that just was not a thing when we went there.
For some reason, I always pictured East Lansing to have way more because y'all had a mall in East Lansing that people would drive to from Mount Pleasant, which is where Central is.
Yes and no. Everything wasn't right by campus, though. You had to drive like 10 or so minutes to
that
get
makes
to
sense.
everything, which is not far. But I'm talking now, you walk out of the apartments and there's stuff, which before it was there was like a old 7-Eleven and that was pretty much it. But now it's like there's a Target, there's a Jolly Pumpkin, there's a Barrio, there's a
Barrio?
Yes.
Wow. I kind of want to go now.
And it's a bunch of high-rise apartments, which did not exist before. There was only a couple high-rise apartments in that area. And now there's so many. And they all have like rooftop pools, hangout areas. I know. I'm like, what the hell?
I want to go. I mean, I've never really had a great experience at MSU or East Lansing. That's a story for another time. But I would like to go back and make better memories.
Yeah, we also did walk on the campus, and it's so nostalgic, but also I said this to Evan like the whole time. I'm like, I just want to redo it because like just being at the spot that I am now in life and being there, it's like you just know so much more. Like I would have actually went to games and like I don't experienced it when you're there. Like you think tailgating is like staying at the tailgate, and like I think I made it to one actual game when I went there. Like I wish I could just redo it and like be in the mind that I am now.
Yeah,
but
I'd be able to appreciate it all, like, soak it all in a little bit more.
Yes, yeah. Because I feel like too, which when I was there, I left a semester early. Like I was just over it.
Yeah, you were like, I'm done. I'm ready to be over this.
I graduated still, but I did it all as soon as possible. So like I had extra credits and I just finished like a semester early. And I walked the same semester though. I waited to walk because I didn't want to walk with just like me. I wanted to walk with friends. But so yeah, I just wish like now being there and walking around, I'm like, this campus is so freaking beautiful too.
It's
like,
very pretty.
I just forgot. I don't know. I just forgot.
That's
and
cute.
It was really fun. But yeah, so that all happened this week. It makes me feel so freaking old though too. Like being there, and like all the college kids work at the restaurants and stuff. So like, you're just with like a bunch of younger people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
No, I know exactly that.
What I would give to be back here.
No, because when I was at Central, I feel like I would go out to restaurants or even shopping, and you wouldn't see like children or anyone that's like above the age of like college kids. Like everybody was just kind of the same age.
Yeah.
And then I would remember when I'd like come back home for things like Thanksgiving break, seeing children out at like stores was like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here?
Yeah. So that was kind of this past week. And then since we had nothing going on and I had a lot of time, I started watching a lot of shows, which I guess maybe it worked out because I swear for some reason all at once Netflix released like a bunch of great stuff.
They did.
Like the new season of Dead to Me came out, another show called 1899, which I've got a story on that. Wednesday came out. Another documentary came out. I can't even think of the name of it right now, but and I love my documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, dang, like I can't even watch everything, but I was glad I did because I did start. So I saw a bunch of TikToks of this Wednesday show.
Same.
Which is it's about the Addams Family daughter, Wednesday, and it's directed by Tim Burton, which is like he's just known for having amazing stuff.
I know. I was shook when I found that out.
Same. I didn't know this was happening for some reason.
I saw the trailer, I feel like a while back, and I initially thought it was a movie that was coming out. And then when it came out this week and I realized it was a series, I got really excited.
Let me just applaud this too, though. So after the first episode, they show a trailer for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I started panicking. I thought it was going to be one of those where they're like, come back in 2 weeks for the, you know what I mean?
No.
And they were like, watch it all now. Like that's how it ended. It said like, watch it all now.
Saw that.
I was like, thank you, please. Like we talked about that before. Like I hate when it does that. So I started watching it, but I saw all these TikToks. And so I thought it was so interesting. And I think we just don't realize how much actors and actresses go through.
Oh, so much.
But Jenna Ortega, which is the actress who plays Wednesday, was doing an interview talking about basically what her day looked like. And by the way, this thing was filmed in Romania for 8 months straight. So they all were living there for 8 months.
It's intense.
Totally uprooted from home to go film this. And she said she'd wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. They would have obviously hair and makeup, but she'd do cello lessons because in the show she plays the cello.
That's
and
actually
she's
her
really playing it.
I did not know that.
She's doing her own stunts, so they do fencing. So she would have fencing practice. Tim Burton decided that he didn't want her to blink at all during scenes because he thought it was like part of the character for her to just not blink. So she was saying how she had to teach herself to not blink.
How do you teach yourself to control your face?
So she was saying that at first it was really hard and tears would start coming down.
Yeah.
But she like trained herself to blink strategically when like other actors had talking parts. So she knew the camera wouldn't be on her. And that was the only time she could blink.
Crazy.
And then this was a question too. So a lot of people thought the hand, which is Thing, and that's part of the original Addams Family.
Right.
So Thing is in it. And a lot of people were wondering if it was all CGI.
That's what I thought.
Added in. It's a real guy's hand. It's connected to a real guy. They blue screen him out. And so every day for 3 hours, he would have to get into the hand like costume and literally contort his body to be in scenes so that he could be blue screened out after the fact. And it's a real person. It was a magician.
How do you
from
audition
Romania.
for something like that?
He was from Romania. He was a magician. So they obviously found him there.
Right.
So basically all these crazy things to make this come together. And I heard though already that they're talking about doing a season 2.
No, it got confirmed.
Did it?
Yeah, I saw it just before this.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean,
I'm excited, but I've only seen one episode, but it was extremely well done. The sets were insane. Like
it's
literally
Tim
insane.
Burton, but that's the thing is, I really like it. I knew people were comparing it to Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, to me, I really like, I'm obsessed, but I actually like, I like kind of like Disney stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, it gives a little bit of that feeling,
I'm
like
all
a
for
Disney
it.
feeling. It gives more like, when comparing to Stranger Things, I feel like that it's a lot more mature of a dialogue in Stranger Things than this. It's to me, the dialogue feels more for like younger people, like kids
I would agree with
or
that.
young adults. It's more directed at that than like a mature audience, I feel.
Yeah.
Like some of the jokes are just about social media and like it's a lot, you know, just a different kind of, to me, it's a different kind of vibe, but like I still like it. It just, the scary scenes for some reason, when Stranger Things would have a scary scene, I'd be scared.
Yeah,
like
I didn't
this,
see, well, I've
you
seen.
didn't get there yet?
I didn't watch Stranger Things.
Oh no, I was scared.
Yeah.
But like in this, when it was like a scary scene, it kind of felt like I wasn't scared. You
Not
know
so
what I mean?
scary.
Yeah.
Like you're spooky but not scary
Yeah.
vibe.
But so I started watching that other show, 1899.
This I haven't heard of
I don't,
until I saw your note on.
so I don't even know how else to, I don't even know how to describe this show. But besides saying I am so confused, and I think I'm 5 episodes in. I'm way too far in to be this confused. But it is supposed to be some type of psychological show. I want to say thriller, maybe. I don't know. But
what would you say the premise is? I've been asking this for a while, and I've not gotten a straight answer.
So these people are on a ship.
Okay.
And it's in 1899. And so it's
Incredible.
old, like huge, kind of like Titanic vibes.
Cute.
And so all these people from all these different places get on the ship and they're going to America. And while they're out there, there was a lost ship that was from the same ship company, huge ship that went missing. And no one knew how. Like, it's a huge ship. There's not that many. It's 1899.
Yeah.
And so they end up finding this lost ship. And all these crazy things start happening. But it's way more like a Matrix kind of vibe or something. Like, it's weird. Like, it gets so confusing. And you have to really pay attention because everybody's from different places. So it's all different languages. So you have to read the subtitles the whole time.
Interesting.
And so
that's cool.
I'm in the kitchen I'm trying to pour my drink into a cup. And I literally, this is how much you have to pay attention, how confused I've been. I'm trying to pour the drink and I just pour it all straight onto the counter and I'm looking at the TV still.
Did you even notice that
No.
you did?
And so all of a sudden I go to grab it and I'm like feeling like wet all over. I'm like, oh my God, the whole counter was covered in the drink instead. And so that's how that's my best way to describe what's going on is I don't know. I'm so confused that I'm doing things I don't even can't explain. Like, I don't know what's happening.
No.
But I hope that somehow it comes together soon because like I said, it's been going on for so many episodes at this point. I wish I just had a tad bit more.
How far in are you?
Too far to be this confused.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's another thing that I watched in this last week. Also, this is not related, but it's coming out. So, you know, we had that big Will Smith scandal at the Oscars where he slapped Chris Rock.
That he did.
And so all of a sudden I start seeing things that he's doing interviews about the slap.
Which hasn't been talked about.
Right.
Necessarily, because I feel like Chris Rock didn't really say anything. I feel like Will Smith hasn't said much on it either.
Kind of just went away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is he doing this now? And also, why is no one talking about that he's doing this now?
Right, because people made such a big deal of it the
Back
first
then.
time.
Yeah, and so...
The first time, like it's happened multiple times. When it
first happened. And so, I'm looking at it like, why is he doing this now? Well, he's coming out with a movie.
That adds up.
like December 2nd or something. And so that adds up. So that'll be interesting to see the response of people. Are people going to watch it? Are they going to say they're not going to watch it?
Right, because people were saying that they wanted to cancel him for the slap, weren't they?
That's just
That's what I heard.
That's what the internet does.
Streets.
That's what the internet does. Speaking of canceling,
Mm.
though, we've been talking a little bit about Twitter and how, it's a mess.
Yeah.
But now, supposedly, Apple is threatening to remove Twitter from the app stores. So anybody with an iPhone will not be able to have Twitter.
Well, let me tell you one thing. Brian's going to be exceptionally disappointed because that's the only social media he has.
Well, no. And then there's rumors that if they do that, Google will also do it because Google owns Androids.
So then what will happen to Twitter? It'll just...
Nothing. It'll be gone. So now...
What about on your laptop, though?
So now, well, if it's a Mac...
True.
Or owned by Google. And so Elon Musk now is saying that he will come out with a phone if this happens.
To keep Twitter around? I mean, but I feel like people are very loyal to the phone in which they have, whether it's Android, whether it's an iPhone. Are people going to, purely to get Twitter, buy this phone?
But is it going to be like a Tesla situation? Because, so, car companies have been around, the same ones for hundreds of years, or like 100 years. I don't know, not hundreds.
Whenever cars started.
It's been the same companies. And so when Tesla started.
That's so true.
It was a big deal because there was no other competition for these companies that have been around. And so it's been this kind of the same for Google and Apple, that they've been the only ones that have really been succeeding in this space. Now, what if this is a competition for them?
That would be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Very interesting. But I am also a creature of habit. I feel like everybody is. So it'd be kind of, I don't know how successful it would be.
I know. Well, and I feel like once you're like locked into a deal with your phone, it is extremely difficult to change things up unless, like the phone companies.
Yeah, because then what if the phone companies themselves start saying that they're not going to sell those phones?
Right. That's what I'm thinking about.
I don't know. It goes so far, and there's so much that could be, so many blocks that could be in the way. I don't know how it would play out, but it's being talked about.
Time will tell.
Another app, though, that we need to talk about, Spotify. Because, listen.
Oh, yeah.
We both, I think, are very, we like to see the Spotify Wrapped every single year.
Yes, I look forward to this.
It is.
More than most things.
Yes. And I even I never do that. I think it's so, but I even post about my Spotify Wrapped. I'm oh my God, look.
I love seeing other people's Spotify Wrapped. And I know some people are like, I don't want to see your Spotify Wrapped.
It's like a Zodiac, but in a different way.
It is, but I'm intrigued. I need to know what people are listening to.
Your Spotify Wrapped says so much about you as a person.
And the year that you had. Because if you see people's top songs and they're
what
depressing.
You just went
through. I've had some years where my songs are pretty depressing in the top 5. And
Spotify Wrapped is the zodiac sign of your year, though. It is. It is what you can tell so much about somebody from seeing their Spotify Wrapped. But I was seeing a different thing people were posting of their music, and
the festival?
I panicked. I thought to myself, first of all, what? I'm disappointed. Second of all, my first thought was, wow, I'm out of shape, because I listen to the most music when I'm working out.
Yeah.
That is the one time. And I instantly thought to myself, wow, I'm disappointed. Wow, I'm out of shape. That makes sense. because I was like, this year I've been slacking. And what if Spotify is like calling me out now because I don't get a Wrapped? Like I thought
you thought it was missing.
I thought my Spotify Wrapped was missing. And my first thought was like, good Lord, you need to get in the gym. Like,
I think that's crazy. That was your first thought, because even if you didn't listen to that much music, you would still get one.
no, because honey, I panicked. I went to the next step. I started Googling, why wouldn't I get a Spotify Wrapped? And what if it just popped up, you're out of shape?
Did it say like you didn't listen to enough music?
And one of the options was like, if you just recently got the app or didn't have enough music listened to, then they wouldn't be able to pull stats. And I'm like, I didn't, because I wasn't. Like, I don't know. I just started panicking. So that was, I thought Spotify was like throwing shade at me. Like, you didn't do enough this year.
Tough year. That says a lot about your year.
I know. Well, hopefully it still happens.
I know.
And when it does, we can share our Spotify Wrapped.
Now I need to like, I feel like I need to like listen to more music and try to like sway.
You're trying to sway your Spotify Wrapped. It's like all super happy loving songs.
Just listening to them on repeat, like make a playlist of 5 songs, listen to it in my sleep. I might do that.
Terrible. Or if you really want one artist to come up as your thing, just keep it on playing on like lowest volume. Terrible. Anyway, so I thought Spotify was throwing shade at me.
But it's not. We still got time.
We have time. But we're going to throw some shade. We're going to read some shady stories now because we are at that time. So I will read shady story number 1. So when I was 23 years old, I was dating this girl that at the time I was with since junior year of high school. So about 6 years we were together. I was madly in love with her and we had a great relationship. So on Thanksgiving that year, I brought her to meet my parents. As soon as we walked in the door and she met them, she started acting a little off, but I thought nothing of it. We had an amazing dinner, everything went great, and my dad went in his room to lay down and digest all of that food while watching the Thanksgiving Lions football game. At this point, it's just me, my girl, and my mom playing Scrabble, having a blast, and my girl gets up to use the restroom. Me and my mom just kept playing, taking turn after turn, and my girl was still gone. So I went to check on her. Come to find out, she is in my dad's room, naked from the top up, servicing him. I was furious, as you can imagine. So I lost control, ended up punching him and putting him in the hospital with cracked ribs and a broken jaw. And I made out with a domestic charge and going to jail. I later found out that she was an ex-client of my dad. He's a lawyer. And apparently they were hooking up for 3 years, and she never knew he had kids and he never knew she was dating anybody.
What goes on? And why was my first reaction to this after you said the Detroit Lions game? My initial thought was, so they're from here, so we could know them. But it's the only game on Thanksgiving at that time, so it could be anybody.
This person I think is from Michigan. It was in the beginning. Yeah, but I just took it out because I was like, I don't know. It could have been
so
anybody.
They're local.
No, they're from Michigan though.
Local.
Local-ish. Yeah. Michigan's pretty big, but yeah. Okay, first of all though, they've been together 6 years. She really would go like thinking she wouldn't get caught.
Yeah.
That is a bold move. And after you just ate all that Thanksgiving meal, that's what you want to do right now?
That's disgusting.
That's what you're thinking about?
That's...
I want to go to bed just like the dad. If supposedly he was just trying to go lay down.
I don't know if that's what he was trying to do. Maybe he was texting her on the side. Like, we don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But it's not... This is messed up. Like, what are the odds?
I don't know. We always say this when the family stuff starts getting weird. Like,
so weird.
Why would you do that? And so, like, was he cheating on the mom for 3 years then?
I guess.
What did the mom do in this situation?
What was their last name to where this girl, like, didn't realize they were related?
I don't know.
You know? Like, they would seemingly, most likely,
Yeah.
Father and son would have the same last name.
Maybe they had different ones, but either way.
Could be.
I mean, when you walk in and you realize that, and you've been with this person now for 6 years, how does that even go to your head? Like, to think like, oh yeah, let me go, like, and whoa. And at what point was this girl hooking up with this dad when they were dating 3 of those years, or 2 of those years they were in high school? 2 of the 6 years they were in high school.
Yeah, so
and obviously wasn't before that.
How did she not meet the dad? I'm confused.
A lot of this.
An ex-client?
Yeah.
What did she have a lawyer for at this point?
Red flag.
There's a lot of red flags in the situation.
Yeah.
I say this is a 9 out of 10.
I don't fully understand this timeline, and that's why I'm also going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Perfect.
Could have been a 10 out of 10, though, if we would have had a little more details.
Little more detail. Some receipts.
Yes. Thanks for that story. The person said that they're a big fan of the podcast.
Aww.
And they were from Michigan. I just didn't want to read that when I was like, when we clip it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense, but now I can say it.
Shady story number 2. I went to Vegas with a friend. We were both 21 at the time. We went with her parents, and her parents paid for her mostly. I was struggling financially and got jealous when I saw her parents give her money. So while she was in the bathroom, I took a handful of money out of her purse and went downstairs to gamble it and ended up winning hundreds. To this day, she never found out or even questioned the money being taken out of her purse. I've lost touch with this friend and haven't told anyone the story. That's so messed up.
I guess.
I
mean, yes, it was, but she never noticed. And then, like, this girl gambled it, and it could have been like instant karma for this girl. Like, she could have lost it all, but she won money. That even might make it more messed up.
I feel like the amount of guilt she had to have had, like, not to, like, split the money or something.
What is she gonna say? Oh, here's your money back that I actually stole from you earlier.
Yeah, there's really no good way of getting that one.
I think this is like a 7 out of 10.
I would agree.
Okay. Shady story number 3. I'll start this by saying I was young when this happened, but don't regret it even a little. So I was in a relationship with the same guy from 8th to 11th grade when the guy unfortunately passed away in an accident. I spent the second half of junior year and all of senior year mourning this loss. After graduation, almost 2 years later, my friends were really pushing me to get back out there, and I ended up hooking up with one of my friend's boyfriend's friends just as a rebound and got pregnant. I know, that escalated quickly. So because of the pregnancy, we tried to turn it into a relationship, and that only lasted about 3 months, and in that 3 months, I met most of his family, aunts, uncles, cousins, all at family gatherings. So when we split, I was about 4 months along. Pretty clean break, I thought, cool, this is going to be easy. At 5.5 months, I found out I was having a girl, contacted him to let him know, and we picked the name Leanna, and we went back radio silent after that. Until I was about 7 months pregnant, when the girl I had met as his cousin called me to let me know his uncle wasn't her biological dad, so they weren't really cousins, and they were getting married and going to take and raise my baby as their own since she couldn't have any, and they already got her name tattooed on both of them. Needless to say, I stopped answering calls and texts from them and didn't inform them when I went into labor. About a week after I had my daughter and was sent home from the hospital, I let him come meet her. He came in with this huge tattoo of Leanna scrolled across his arm that you could see when he held her, and I said, "Nice tattoo. Who's Leanna?" His face fell, and he was like, "What do you mean? She is." I smiled and said, "No, her name is Annabella." He only saw her a handful of times after that, but 2 years later, I met the love of my life, we married, and she has a wonderful dad in him.
I was thinking in my head as you were reading this story, I was like, after I heard about the tattoos, I would have changed the name. Like,
Well, that was the most amazing way to get back at him.
Oh my gosh, it was perfect. I'm speechless.
Well, why did this, first of all, even if you're not blood cousins and raised as cousins, I feel like they should have just not introduced her as a cousin if they felt like it was not that kind of relationship. They clearly thought it was not.
Exactly.
But, so that makes it a little freaking weird. But then she calls and says, we're getting married and we're going to take and raise your baby.
Yeah. What is that?
Excuse me, ma'am. What?
You can't do that. And in the story, well, I love when people start out and they were like, I don't regret this one bit. That's my favorite.
You know it's about to be good if somebody starts with that.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, let's hear it. And then at the beginning, when she got pregnant, she was like, yeah, things escalated quickly. Things escalated quickly again. Oh, the tattoos. I was like, taking the baby, I almost thought when the guy came to see the baby that he was going to try to take it.
After he found out he got the wrong name, he was done. He was like, wow, this is what I'm dealing with? Okay, gotta go.
Good for her.
Yeah, that was a good one.
No, I think that's a 10 out of 10.
That's a solid 10 out of 10 for me as well.
That's one of my favorites that we've read by far.
It was the best plot twist of all time.
Oh, so good.
But that concludes our shady stories for this week. Some very good ones. And yeah, make sure, I know we said this last time, but we've figured out what the giveaway is. So make sure you're following us. So when we post that, you can be entered in the giveaway because we wish we could. And truly, we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.